We are currently living in a world of complete uncertainty. The future for our generation seems full of questions, but many are without answers. As mass national change looms with the finalisation of Brexit, now we are also faced with the recovery from coronavirus. And inevitably, huge economic, social and cultural change is pending. As many vast decisions get made by a select few, the majority of our generation's voices remain collectively unheard when it comes to issues which define our country. Issues such as race, immigration and religion, gender equality, sexuality and self-expression, politics, the environment and post-truth in the media, mental health, the NHS and social care, housing, benefits and jobs, crime, drugs and the police, social media, the media, and art. So this is our platform to talk about our past, our present and our future. This is our voice.
Hi, I'm Emily and I'm 22.
Hi, I'm Beth and I'm 20.
Hi, I'm Emily, I'm 21.
Hi, I'm Chloe, I'm 22 and we're all students at the University of Gloucestershire.
Yes, having a smartphone affects your sleep.
I think everybody's guilty of looking at their phone before they go to bed and just getting stuck in either the whole of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Blue screen definitely affects, it keeps you awake for longer. So I do think that possibly, potentially, for people below the age of 18, it would be good for that use to be limited.
Definitely for young ones.
Yeah, and I think there's such a huge amount of people that play video games and stuff until really, really early hours of the morning. I know that was definitely a case of people at my high school that would just stay up until like 4 a.m.
And that paired with addiction, I think it's the addiction and like having a routine and just subconsciously always looking at your phone before you go to bed, always playing a last round of a video game or always checking Instagram. It's that thing of you just keep scrolling paired with that whole, the blue screen is keeping you up longer.
Yeah, I do think it would be good for blue screen items to be limited, especially for people below the age of 18, because once you get to the age of 18, it's your decision, really.
But I do think if we didn't have smartphones,
Yeah.
for people that didn't sleep and had insomnia, they'd find other solutions to sleep, and I think that smartphones are inhibiting that. There are other ways to get yourself tired and to fall asleep, and the smartphone is massively bad for that sort of thing. And people use it as an excuse, like, oh, I can't sleep, I'm going to go on my phone. And then you stay up into early hours of the morning and you use it as an excuse of, well, it was because I couldn't sleep, but actually it's that's stopping you even more.
I don't think it's a case of just blue screens being limited for people under the age of 18. I think it's probably just their phones and consoles and stuff in general being limited, like they shouldn't be going on them.
It is a distraction for people with mental health problems.
But it also causes mental health
It
problems.
does, massively. Okay, I agree that I think grime has helped it come into fashion more so. Tracksuit to me, inside, amazing, comfy, loungewear, makes me feel relaxed.
Like in the house.
Yeah. I feel like I personally wouldn't wear it outside because I feel like partly I haven't put effort into my outfit and I feel like I'm slacking, sounds bad, but I just think there's also that, I don't know, that element of,
I think there's a massive stigma attached
Yeah,
to
there's an
tracksuit.
idea of what kind of person wears a tracksuit.
And I think, I hate it because I feel like I sound like an old person when I say it, but I just associate the tracksuit with like big groups of boys like walking around, like being really loud, like I don't know, like me personally, I don't think I could leave the house.
Yeah, but the thing is, at primary school, you're taught outdoor behaviour and indoor behaviour, aren't you? And I feel like people that wear tracksuits outside have carried their indoor behaviour outside. And I feel like that is that thing of like, well, that you've carried certain things, like you let yourself go in the house and you act yourself, and when you go out, you present yourself so that nobody's offended, nobody's this, nobody's that. And I feel like a lot of the time, people that don't mind offending others also are the people that wear tracksuits.
For me personally, more so when I was younger, I'd be more wary of people wearing tracksuits. Whereas I feel like now it is more of a fashion statement more than just a big group of lads outside. I think more people do make it
because it's
less
grime culture.
Like more and more girls now are wearing them as well, and it's very much that whole like rave scene as well. Like I feel like a lot of like as I said, a lot more girls now are going out with like tracksuits and then like crop tops or whatever.
But I suppose there's a difference as well between like the tracksuit, like that, the difference of material between like jogging bottoms that are comfy and slack, and then those sort of more like running trousers, like outdoor trousers, tracksuit. Like there's a slight difference in that as well. But it's definitely influenced, because you see in music videos, like in grime stuff as well. You see in the music videos or in just those people that produce big massive grime hits,
celebrities,
album covers, that kind of stuff, like people are wearing them, and obviously if people respect them as artists, like you would respect anybody else, if they're your role model, you're likely to dress like them. So it's fair enough if it's become more of a fashion statement, as grime has become more of an industry statement, I suppose.
And do you think the media's representation of grime was to silence those who already felt marginalised?
That's difficult. I think a lot of media is very conservative, which would make sense if they report grime in a negative way, because people who rap, sing, whatever you classify grime, a lot of the time they are anti-government, anti-conservatism, anti-this. So it makes sense for conservative news reporting to be anti-that. It's kind of like an ongoing war. But I don't know if the media intentionally reported it to make already marginalised people feel more marginalised. I think it's like a fighting back. And then they're just, it's like, what was it? Was it the Grammys?
The Brits with Dave.
And the Brits, not the Grammys. And everybody's, it's always anti-government statements, and it's something as massive as the Brits, that's going to get a lot of attention, so therefore the media will fight back, because it's this ongoing power struggle, isn't it?
And you've got older generations as well who control the media.
True. Older generations. Grime hasn't infiltrated older generations as much as it has younger generations. So
the older generation don't really understand it, and therefore they're not willing to understand it, so they're really dismissive of it. I don't know. For me, I think it's definitely all three for our generation, like as I think it is for every generation really. I know some people that definitely go to sort out their mental health. It's so stimulating in that way.
Endorphins, that's a massive thing. They say that fitness and exercise helps you overcome mental health more so than drugs a lot of the time. So therefore, if people are trying to break that, that's something that they can become addicted to that instead, and it like pushes past that. So I think that's, and because mental health is being talked about more and ways to overcome it, I think that particularly is something that at least is more prominent. I think it's always been a case with mental health, with people going to the gym and working out, but I think it's talked about more now.
Definitely.
I think in terms of social media, for me, I either see it's about mental health or it's about like the aesthetical side of it. Because it's either people wanting to like brag about going for gains and that kind of thing, and like they're just going to the gym, or it's people, you know, making a big statement
like almost
about
like
mental health.
bragging about the fact that they go to the gym as well. Like you see everyone's seen like selfies or like boomerangs or whatever of someone in the mirror, like
more so on social media. I think you see it for the aesthetical reasons. Very rarely I see accounts or posts on the like feed, like search whatever, that says that this is how to do it in a healthy way, or this is what you would do if you're trying to cut down fat, or this is what to do if you're trying to raise your stamina. Most of social media is all, look at me, this is what I did today, this is how my body's looking now. And like you say, mental health as well.
I almost feel that there's less of a stigma attached to somebody posting like their transformation, so going from like a year ago to how they look like now. But whenever I see that on Instagram, it's more so people that never post about the fact that they go to the gym.
Yeah.
So it's
specific accounts for the people that
Yeah.
do have like gym accounts and fitness accounts, which I guess they're motivating, but also they make you like look at yourself and think, I should be doing more. So
I think a lot of the gym is social, because I think if people can get fit at home, and people can get fit by running like around or whatever, like you can do exercises in your own home. So I think there is a lot of the social and aesthetic, this is what I'm doing. I know personally that I never liked to go into the gym because I was always so self-conscious that I was either really sweaty or that I wasn't doing exercises properly, and I'd be like, oh my god, people are... And I think that is, if you're in the gym, people are looking at you, you know people are looking at you, even if you put your headphones in and you're doing your own thing. Whereas I'd much rather do exercises in my bedroom for the purpose of getting fit, because I feel like that would be me doing it for my own physical and health gain.
Yeah.
I just feel like and obviously it's particular, lots of people like the gym equipment and they will go for obviously the physical side of it and the facility, but I think there is a big social element, which is obviously good as well. Like people, it gets them out of the house, it gets them meeting people and doing stuff, which is obviously really good as well. Yeah.
Because I think when you go to the gym, feel much better in your head about it, but it's also like you enjoy the gains or the, you know, differences that it's also making into your body. So I feel like,
But also I do think there is a pressure on people to go to the gym to get this body that is ideal, or everyone seems to be ideal as well. I don't think, you know, people might want to like that themselves, but I think it's also feeling pressured to look like an ideal body type as well.
Yeah. Which is encouraged by the social media people.
Yeah.
My name is Anne and I am 22. Where did I grow up? In Buckinghamshire, and that's where I am now as well. I work in London, but I'm living at home. Back maybe like in the 60s and 70s, people realised that sex sells. I think definitely more sexualised. I think this comes with good and bad things. Like I think girls, for instance, are a lot more they're a lot more expressive of themselves. I think if it comes from a woman's own choice, it's empowering. I think when men sexualise women and they don't want to be sexualised, I think it's obviously an issue, which happens a lot, you know, due to like Instagram and all of these sort of websites. But then I think, as I said, it's quite empowering for women. I think definitely our generation is more sexualised than the last. I mean, even like in the early like noughties, like 2000 and stuff, like it's when like mini skirts were really short and the girls would go out to the clubs wearing nothing. Like, I remember my mum being like, bloody hell, like they're not wearing anything. And then kind of we did it when we were younger, when we were like 16, 17, 18. It's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a generation thing. Like I'm sure the next generation, when they get to that age, it kind of, you go through it, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I have a real issue with porn. I think porn's very damaging for both women and men. I think it affects some people more than others, but I think it gives a very unnatural view of what sex should be, firstly, and also what like relationships should be and like what sex should be there for. Also, like I speak with my girlfriends quite openly about sex, like as most girls do, and like porn and that sort of stuff, like how like that has implications on our relationships and boyfriends or whatever. And I think just from what people have said and my personal experiences, like I know of some girlfriends of mine have said like, like my boyfriend like can only come in certain positions because he's watched porn and he's like normalised to doggy style or whatever, like, which is just so fucked up, honestly, especially on young people as well. Like I think I've heard about like boys like, oh yeah, my Raddy Ra showed me like this porn video when I was like 11, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so damaging. Like your first ever impression of what sex should be is some fucking dirty porn star, like some old porn star guy like having sex with some young girl, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just no romance at all, there's no love there. Like I think it's definitely diminished our respect from men. I think also it has like confuse men's brains into thinking that like sex is going to happen from like certain situations. Like they'll expect sex in certain situations because they've seen it in porn, and it's like, how deluded are you? Like, that's not fucking going to happen. We're not in a porno. I think porn encourages a desensitized approach to sexual assault and sex. I think girls are now more aware than we've ever been of how to try and protect ourselves against men. But also, I think that's because, you know, maybe it's not actually happening more, like sexual assault and that sort of thing, than before, but it's definitely being like recorded and broadcasted more now, but with more coverage has a knock-on effect on it happening more, so it's kind of like a circle. I think we are more educated, definitely than before. Like definitely, like in the 60s they didn't really know anything about STIs and it caused a lot of problems. A lot of the people in the generation above us were knock-on effects from the war. For instance, all these guys came back from the war, like battered men, like, and then they basically couldn't love their children the way they should be able to, just because they had like PTSD and stuff, and that had a knock-on effect on our parents. You'll still see the echo effect on our generation and maybe even our kids, but I think our generation will be way less shell-shocked than our parents, unless something like that happens again, a big war or something. Like male suicide rates, for instance, like go up a generation after wars as well, because the dads come home from war and they can't love their sons, and then their sons like don't have the emotional capabilities to deal with like upsets and stuff. So yeah, I think part of our parents' generations expecting too much of us is because we're fucked up by their parents, basically. I think honestly, because you can see everyone's life and it looks amazing. Like every girl you follow on Instagram, including myself, will post photos of them like dolled up to the nines and they're edited and it's this and it's that. You kind of want to be part of it. You want to be like, oh, like, well, I'm cute too. And like you want to post whatever, like post a selfie. And I think it's like a constant competition, isn't it? You see someone that you know and they've posted a really like gorgeous picture of themselves and you kind of want to like prove that you're gorgeous too. So I think it is self-absorbed, but I think our parents are quick to say that because it wasn't around in their time. Like if it had been brought into their lives at the same time it had been ours, like when we were like 11, 12, whatever, I think they'd be exactly the same. It didn't happen for their generation, that they're like, oh, you're so self-absorbed. It's like, well, okay, yeah, we had the resources to be self-absorbed, you just didn't in the olden days because you didn't have camera phones. I think it depends how you put yourself across. Sometimes I put up a selfie or like a video of me and it's just not a representation of who I am at all. Like I look really like bougie and like whatever, but if you know me, I'm just mental. Like I look gross sometimes and I'm quite boyish, like I don't know, but then I'll put pictures of that up as well. So I don't know, I think it depends on who you want to be. I think people who post like real representations of themselves, they're kind of probably more secure than people who don't. But I think we all kind of are a bit like that. I would definitely say that we are, like, art is more accessible to us, which is fucking awesome. Like, so cool that, like, you can literally just message your favourite artist on Instagram and, like, they'll see it, they might see it, and they might reply to you. You can buy prints, you can, like, it's just so cool. I think it's amazing. I think, honestly, what will happen is it will go, like, to one extreme and then the other. I think some art will become really accessible because everyone, like, you see a photo online, you can print it out yourself and put it up in your house. That, in that retrospect, like, I think it will become devalued, some art. But then I think other art that like breaks the stereotype, like that Banksy piece that was shredded in the auction like a few months ago. I just think anything that anyone's doing that's different is going to be so like shocking. And in an age where like you can bid for stuff online as well, like you can literally, like, even in auctions, like they have people on the phone, you can bid for stuff. I think some pieces of art are going to be worth like way more than they would be if nobody fucking knew about them. Like the more people who know about something and they all want it, the more money it's gonna go for. But then obviously, yeah, like some art is gonna kind of, I think, maybe get lost. I think it's so cool that like you get to see everything. Like in the olden days, if you liked an artist, you might, you know, be able to save up and buy a piece of their art and you'll have it on your wall, and that's kind of, or you go to a gallery, I suppose, and see their work when it's on, when the exhibition's there. But now it's like a visual fucking overload of just like everything you want to see. I think it is amazing. It's definitely amazing. I can see 100% why me and other people included like are getting into art and photography. I think it's just, yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's a good thing for the arts. Depends on the time scale, I guess. Like in the olden days, like a gorgeous painting on a cathedral ceiling would be like magnificent and beautiful. These days it can be fucking anything. Like that banana that was taped to a bloody gallery wall the other day, like, and people, I don't know, I think there's a bit of a hype around it. It's like, oh, people have liked it, so it must be cool. But yeah, definitely I think our opinions on art will change all the time, to be honest. I think it just depends on generation and the artists that are actually around at the time. I think generations will always be able to appreciate good art, like actually skilled paintings, you know, skilled photographs. But I think it's just a sign of the times, isn't it, I suppose? I think everyone should go to galleries more, me included. I just don't have time anymore, and it's kind of depressing. I think because you're not forced to go to galleries because everything's online and virtual. In the olden days, if you had to go to a gallery to see your favourite artist, you'd fucking go, because if you like heard that he was, you know, he or she was exhibiting in a gallery near you, you'd be like, fucking hell, I'm going to get down there. I've not seen a piece of their artwork for ages. These days, you can just get updates when they post something new, right? I follow Damien Hirst on Instagram, and he's like fucking doing question and answers and that sort of stuff. And in the olden days you'd have to go to a gallery for that, but these days you just look on your phone, so it's fine. I would say though, like, some things you have to see in person, like especially photographs, like, look gorgeous when they're big. Like, I think all artwork should be made bigger than it is. Well, a lot of artwork should be made bigger than it is because it's just beautiful to see things like when they're large, I guess, and when they're in real life. I think, yes, we should all physically make time to go and see art and go to galleries, because it's cool, right? It's just cool to see new things, and staring at your phone is not the same as going to see something, or like being in a physical exhibition, or like something that's interactive. Been to quite a few interactive gallery experiences and they're so cool.
My name's Jake Jackson, I'm 20 years old. I grew up in Norfolk and I'm currently living in Cheltenham as a university student at the University of Gloucestershire. I think that for the pure fact that it was considered the golden era of music means that it is now everywhere. It's on TV, it's in adverts, it's just constantly in media. You see documentaries specifically about that era of music. There's constantly replays of musical events from that era, and it's always in adverts. That's not to say that music from today isn't in adverts and things like that. I think there's definitely a lot more music from the golden era of music in the mainstream media, and I think that is the main reason why people know it so much and why it's in people's heads so much, and possibly why they'd recognise it more than they would music today. Yeah, I do think music's good today. I think music was good back in the golden era of music, but I think it's also good now. I think there's a lot of people that almost hold on to the golden era of music and think that music today is never going to be as good as music once was, and it's never going to get better than it was in the 1960s to the 1990s. But I think that's a bad way of looking at it, because I think there's good music now, and I think there was good music then, but there was also bad music in both those eras. I think that's where it's going to continue to be. Obviously, sound and style, things like that have changed a lot, but that's not to say music once was better than it is now, and it's not to say that music's getting worse or is going to continue to get worse in the future. I think sound's going to continue to evolve and continue to change. People stream music, obviously way more than they used to before they even could stream music. I think that's just, as well as a technological advancement, it's a musical advancement, and it's just a musical change. It's a different way of listening to music, but it is the way people now listen to music, and I don't think that's going to change. I don't think radio station that scraps genre and played a variety of genres would change the way people listen to music just because streaming is so prominent, and because that just is the way people listen to music now. Also, having a station with all genres of music, don't know if that ever really would work, just because people are always going to have personal preferences. There's always going to be certain genres of music that certain people don't like, and I think that's why it wouldn't work. They'd a lot rather make playlists of music they like than listen to a radio. Yeah, on playlists, I think that is how people, that's almost the new radio. That's how people listen to music now, they'll just make a playlist of songs that they know they definitely like and of songs that they definitely want to listen to, and they'd a lot rather listen to that than they would a collection of songs made by someone else. I think our generation's somewhat more narrow-minded about recommendations of music as well. I don't think they'd really listen to radio to get recommendations. I mean, some people would, but a lot of people just listen to recommendations through friends, or they get recommendations through playlists like Spotify playlists or playlists made by other people, the same way people would previously get recommendations on the radio. I just think it's changed. It's quite similar, but then again it's different in many ways as well. But yeah, I can definitely see a connection between records and photographic film. I think people like the realness and the rawness about both film and records. I think they think the sound, the unpolished sound and the unpolished look of both of the analogue mediums is just more appealing, more emotional, more real in many senses. And I think people also like the physicalities of both of them. They like being able to hold a record, they like being able to hold a piece of music rather than just play it on their phone. And that's similar with film, really. I think a lot of people feel like anyone can take a digital photo. That's not to say it doesn't take a lot to take a good digital photo, because doing so is very hard, but I think people like the process of film. And yeah, it's very different. Everyone's got the ability to take a digital photo, even if it isn't good. Anyone can take a digital photo on their phone. It's a big style thing as well. I think if it wasn't so stylish, then people maybe wouldn't like records and wouldn't like film so much. But that's not to say that it's a lot down to the realness and the emotion that it carries as well, because I think people do like that too. Big business advertising is full of a lot of almost stupid and unrealistic stuff, and I think as well as not trusting them, people almost, well, our generation specifically, don't pay too much attention to them. And I think, as the question said, I think social media influencers, things like that, even YouTubers and just celebrities who own products, I think that's got a lot bigger impact on people's decisions than typical adverts do. I do think our generation's more likely to support independent businesses as well. I think they think it's important from an ethical stance. They think that supporting someone that they could maybe see grow a business, that they could see as a little business growing into a bigger business, is important, because as well as supporting the business, it supports the people that they may even know behind the business. And as well as that, I think it's an originality thing. I think people like to be original. They like to own clothes, own products, objects that other people don't own. And by shopping at independent businesses, that's a good way of doing so. But having said this, I think the mere fact that being able to shop online in big corporate businesses that you often can't do so much for independent businesses is just so easy and often a lot cheaper, that I think it's hard to get away from massive businesses as well, just because of the ease and the cheapness of it. With food, images would definitely sway my decision more than text. It would more be down to the way it looks. If it looks good, then I'm more likely to want to buy it. But if someone's told me something's good, if a certain restaurant's good, then I'm more likely to eat there than I am from a traditional advert from a brand or a company. That's more with independent businesses as well. Big businesses like Starbucks, McDonald's, that everyone eats at, we're constantly bombarded with information like them through adverts and things like that. It's just everywhere, everyone knows they exist there. With smaller, more independent places, it would definitely be down to friends' recommendations, social media buzz reviews, things like that. If I've heard something's good, then I'm more likely to eat there. Clothes have got to be a certain style, a certain fit for me to wear them, but I think a lot of people, when buying clothes, it's not so much down to the actual adverts by the actual brand, but it's more endorsements to the brand that are done by people on social media, people they follow, famous people, celebrities, influencers, things like that. People are going to buy clothes that they see people wearing, and even if it's by a brand that they don't necessarily trust or don't necessarily agree with, then they trust the person wearing them and they're more likely to buy them because someone's wearing them. And I think things like that almost work better as adverts than their actual adverts do. I think social media does both. I think it positively and negatively affects most people's lives. I think obviously constantly comparing your life and your photos and things like that to the lives of highlights of someone else's life is never going to be good for someone's mental health, including mine. But I think there's also a lot of good things that comes out of social media. Digitally speaking, I think we are the most connected generation yet. I think that doesn't mean we're more sociable, more actually physically connected to other people, but digitally speaking, we definitely are. I think everyone's relationship with social media is different. I think some people find more pros in it and some people find more cons in it, but that's not to say for everyone it's bad and not for everyone it's good. I think for me it's somewhere between the two. Obviously there's good things about it. It helps you connect with friends, helps with escapism, it helps with a lot of things, but it's also got a lot of downfalls with people comparing themselves to other people.
My name is Bethan Thomas, I'm 20 years old, I grew up in Wales and I'm now living in Cheltenham as a student. Makeup sales in our generation have gone through the roof, with sales worth just over 4 billion set to reach 6.5 billion by 2023. It appears that people in our generation care more about what they are buying and are prepared to pay more for this. This includes caring about natural, sustainable ingredients. I think this has occurred over our generation due to the growing awareness of the impact that buying sustainable and natural products can have on the environment. And I think now more than ever we are aware of what goes into products and how products get made, and we can make choices about companies that we might want to buy from depending on whether they are environmentally friendly or not. I think that it's often the awareness of the environment that's led to a change in buying more sustainable products. Although some people may not trust corporate companies' man-made products, I believe that the general environmental awareness and the growth in the companies that can provide environmentally friendly products often influences our choices. I personally get influenced more by someone online or a friend using a product in comparison to when I just see an ad about a product. This is often because I prefer using products that I feel other people I know that I can trust are using, or that I've seen reviews on from people that I know about. I mainly do this as I follow advice from people that I trust rather than just taking what a company said or what a company thinks that I should buy. I believe that this shows that our generation's consumer culture has possibly changed for the better, as we might now have more options and are more aware of what we are buying. I think we can make better choices about what we're buying and can base our choices on facts that we see or read about, rather than just buying what a company tells us we should buy. I do believe that men's personal care regimes have changed just as much as women. I think it's really acceptable now for men to have really high care regimes, and I think they spend a lot more money on personal care than they ever have before, so I do think it's changed a lot in recent years. I do think that the digital footprint of young people should be explained in detail so that everyone is aware of what others can access online. As the world is now more technologically advanced, it's really important for children to be aware of their safety online and what they're kind of putting online and how that can be possibly used against them in the future. I think it's important for children to be aware of their digital footprint and how this could impact future jobs or careers, and how employers can access their information and things they might have posted years ago or accessed years ago. I believe that putting in school workshops to make children more aware of their digital footprint would be very beneficial, as I do not think telling children to be careful is enough in this changing world. I think they now face more challenges than ever, and I don't think they realise the impact that digital footprints can have on their future. I think internet dating has changed drastically in our generation. It's now become a normal part of dating, and often the most common way of dating is online. I think it's so popular now because there's so many websites and apps that you can access with thousands of people signing up and being online constantly. I think that there are many positives to internet dating. From stories I've heard from friends who feel that they wouldn't be confident enough to approach people in person or are quite shy, I do think that it allows them to meet people in a comfortable and safe environment where they feel confident to get to know someone before they actually have to meet them. For me personally, I find internet dating has a negative effect, as I think that it lacks emotion and often feels unrealistic for me. I'm the type of person that would be comfortable enough to approach someone in person and make a conversation with someone, so I feel like that's a more beneficial way for me to date, as I find it more interesting, and I can only really build relationships and an interest in someone if I actually get to see them in person rather than online.